Professional, agitated debate and discussion.
Radio with an answer for everything.
Powered by your opinions.
Something to talk about. Talk Radio.
The home of common sense.
It is Talk Radio 03444991000. Jeremy Kyle here. In around about 10 minutes' time, we'll chat to Jeremy and find out what is going on the Drive show this afternoon. There's a lot to get through. This in from Chris in Cardiff, referenced the police and crime. Surely lockdown restrictions and the fact people spent so much time at home is a driving factor behind a reduction in burglaries last year. It seems unusual they didn't mention this. Direct comparisons of 2020 or 2021 with any other year surely needs this caveat. It's a great point. I did mention that to the police officer yesterday, who said that that was kind of factored in to a certain degree. It's 10 to 4 on Talk Radio. Now, MI5 warned an agent of the Chinese government has been active in the British Parliament. MPs have been hearing in the Commons from Sir Iain Duncan Smith.
Mr. Speaker has been contacted by MI5 and is now warning members of Parliament that there has been an agent of the Chinese government active here in Parliament working with a member of Parliament, obviously to subvert the processes here. I say, as a member of Parliament who is sanctioned by the Chinese government, as others, that this is a matter of grave concern.
Let's speak with Iain Duncan Smith, former leader of the Conservative Party, of course, and Conservative MP. Iain, good afternoon to you. Sorry to make you listen to yourself just before you come on there, but not for the first time, I'm sure. Just put some meat on the bones of this, if you would, for us. I mean, this seems an extraordinary and rather troubling revelation we're hearing today.
Well, I think it's serious. It's very serious. Whatever way you cut this, here is an agent of a foreign power, but not just a foreign power. This is China. This is a power that is guilty of genocide, of brutal slave labor, of forced sterilization of women, re-education of children that they don't want to speak their own language, threats to Taiwan, taking over the South China Seas, smashing churches up, all this sort of stuff. This is a brutal regime. And here we have an agent of that regime in Parliament for some time, with money coming in to support that individual and to support an MP, who knows how many others either. We know that now this individual has donated money to the Labour Party, has got access to a Conservative Prime Minister. We've seen a picture of it, received an award from another Prime Minister, all in this time. In fact, that award came as late as 2019. So I do question what has been going on here. We should have known about this before. I mean, I think the sums of money coming into that MP's office, I'm told, to do with the all-party parliamentary group and also individuals, etc., was, could be over £600,000. I mean, this is serious, and I'm a sanctioned member of Parliament.
An MP has been named in this, Iain Duncan Smith. Is this an area that we can't pursue right now, or is this...
No, I think his name is in the public domain.
We're talking about Barry Gardiner, the Labour MP.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
And so what, have we heard anything from Mr Gardiner on this?
Well, I gather he's put a statement out. I haven't seen it myself. I mean, I know him. I'm not accusing him of anything, but it's a real concern to me that this individual, who has now been kicked out of Parliament, was working up until today, I think, in Parliament. Oh. And my worry is that the Security Service say they've been looking at this and they've now decided they're an agent of the state. But I must say that has taken some considerable time. We're talking about funds, by the way, being funneled in via sort of dodgy connections to sort of clean them up through Hong Kong. But they are definitely, clearly, from the Chinese government. And so this is a concern to us. And I keep saying to everybody, the problem right now, it seems to me, is we haven't been taking the threat from China seriously enough. This is as I said earlier on, a brutal regime that believes ultimately that their form of government, their way of government, is the right form, communist, dictatorial and brutal. And, we need to be saying that you can't treat them as a normal government and then put them on a low risk and then end up with this sort of situation taking place. We need to recognize they pose what I would call a clear and present danger.
The statement that Mr. Gardiner put out does say that he's been in contact with MI5. Mr. Gardiner said he'd been in contact with MI5, said for a number of years about Christine Lee, and they'd always known and been made fully aware by me of her engagement with my office and the donations she'd made to fund researchers in my office in the past. So Mr. Gardiner appears to be saying that her appointment of this particular person was legitimate, despite the revelations that we hear today.
That's interesting, isn't it? How is it that MI5 have reached the conclusion that she is an agent of a foreign government?
Yes.
So I'm a bit concerned. That's why I make no allegations at all, other than to say we need to know the whole story. We need to know, if that is the case, why was MI5 content to see this individual? And I think his mother, who was the person finding the donations, and they believe, back in 2017, I think it was, the Times ran a front page story saying that she was under suspicion. So how can it be from 2017, at least, even till today, that no action has been taken? And if he says they were content, I want to know why were the security service content for, as I say, nearly, we're told, anything between £500,000 and £600,000.
And it would be extraordinary that you would have as a backbench MP, that you would have an ongoing dialogue with MI5 on the employment status of people that work in your office. That in itself is rather bizarre.
Well, if you are concerned about their security, I mean, let me take my situation and those of my other colleagues who have been sanctioned like I have in Parliament. Can
you explain that, Iain, what you mean by sanctioned?
Well, the Chinese government sanctioned us because we had been speaking out, and I'm a member of the Interparliamentary Alliance on China. I'm a co-chair. It's got 24 nations in it now, from Japan to America, all countries that are worried about the growing nature of Chinese threats. And we have unearthed a lot of documentation, and we've been able to point the finger at China over the Uyghur genocide that's taking place at the moment. And we so infuriated them that they sanctioned a number of us. Now, that means we can't hold any investments in China. We certainly can't set foot in China. And it does also mean that China could, if we went to a country that had extradition arrangements with them, they could do what's called an Interpol red notice on us, which meant that we would then be arrested pending extradition arrangements. So all of that, plus my family, are sanctioned. So this is a threat to freedom of speech. But here I am. I mean, we've been working, trying to help those people who have been democracy campaigners in Hong Kong, who are now being arrested, put in jail for long periods of time, all because the only thing they did was to ask for freedom of speech and being able to elect their legislative authority. They've been fleeing, many of them, Hong Kong, coming to the UK. Now, many of us with IPAC deal with these people, so we've got names and details. My worry is, through all this period, and they give any consideration to their ability to walk around. I mean, I don't always lock this door here when I'm in and out of it, nor do many of my colleagues. So anyone could have got access to our offices at some point and may well have found out names and details. That's what really. So this is life and death. It's not just about my concerns for myself. It's life and death for others.
We will watch with interest, and we may even speak again on this, Iain. Thank you for your time this afternoon, Sir Iain Duncan Smith, former leader of the Conservative Party, current Conservative MP, a man who is sanctioned by China along with others on that incredibly serious, very troubling revelation that an MP had somebody who was employed by the Chinese state working in their office. We did ask Barry Gardiner if he wanted to respond on the programme. We have yet to hear back at the moment. You're listening to Talk Radio. That's it from us. Cracking show this afternoon. Great calls. Thank you for all of that. We're back tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. But Jeremy Kyle is on the other side of the news at 4, which is next.
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk Radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV. The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
Offence archaeology on Twitter. Quite terrifying.
Don't beg Jeff Bezos. Charge him, for God's sake.